Hello and welcome. Today's date that comes in that of Tuesday. It's going to say Wednesday, but no, it's Tuesday, and it's the 17th of September, 2019. My name is Derek. All bets, trades are the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. Not much to go over on silver. Going to go over this very quickly, then move on to cryptos because there's a lot more happening there. And from these lows of 14 and change to the highs near 20, these are Fibonacci lines. We're going to be seeing fibs on Litecoin very soon, but for now, we're seeing it here on silver bouncing at the 1740, pretty much an exact hit at it. And since then, just really hanging in there within the 18 lows. But since the rally higher, it hasn't done two things, either of the two things. One, well, from the move, while we've established resistance, it hasn't gotten any higher or made a new higher high, and it hasn't broken down. So it hasn't broken out or broken down from the time that it got going. On the single hour, we can see on the gap open this on Sunday, it's just doing a whole bunch of nothing. And the analysis here is as simple as can be. If it's a breakout, I'm expecting a move that will pierce above 18 and 23. And if it's a breakdown below here, I'm expecting a move that will pierce down below 1740. And for Bitcoin, it's pretty much the same as silver, as in until it has a little break. And what else can I do? It's just stuck in this 18 average in here. Got this resistance, got this high, but more importantly, we got this more bigger level of lows, or we got this range that's just yada yada. We still have nothing that has broken any of the descendingness either as well, as we haven't been making any type of matching or higher highs yet. So until then, not much more to go over. And switching to the dominance of Bitcoin, well, a decent sized red move. I'm moved below this, so now I'm looking for one level of support established below here. An attempt, and it's been difficult on the bear side to revert this trend, but Bitcoin's doing nothing, and the altcoins are having a good day. I'm going to show next Litecoin, which it's altcoin that is for, we'll call it everything but Bitcoin's an altcoin, I guess. But Litecoin's doing well, and here we have on the hourly time frame, really since September 14th at 4 in the morning, which is a little over 3 days, altcoins have been in control of the market. And for me, this means that there's been a little bit of volatility, and within today's session, it's volume for me. And let's take a look at Litecoin against the dollar. And as far as trading today, it's another day. It's another 9,815 Satoshi. But I'm making a lot of 9,815 Satoshis. At least compared to other days, I'm not really making much because the volatility is only better than it has been. And that's another way of me saying, oh, it can go. And I think it will go a lot farther in time. Whether it'll be today and this week and this month or next, later in one of the few months coming, or in 2020 or 2021, I hope it's well before 2021. On the daily chart for Litecoin, we have an interesting breakout above the 18 average, but going back to where we were on the monthly. Yeah, we're going to talk about Fibonacci. These lines represent this high to this low. So if we look at it on the weekly chart, the price action came up to the high and obviously resisted it and has had a price correction lower. This is now a move from this high and this low. Well, we look at this on the daily. And what I've done is I've calculated Fibonacci from here to here. The low is $22.17. The high is 146 even. So 61.8 represents from bottom to top. That's 61.8%. So from top to bottom, that represents 38.2. So now in displaying that level of a little over 71, we can see it's been below it, above it, and is most certainly showing an interesting possible setup if these exact numbers just have to play it like, well, oftentimes in the past that they have. For there's a 7106, which looks to me as if it hit it about 3 times exactly, and then I can even count this as a fourth as a pierce above before it ultimately failed on the fifth. Well, ultimately, yeah, I guess ultimately because because it fails, hits this low, plays over kind of deal, or situation's over. But and from that situation moving forward, it resists it to a higher low. It resists it again to a higher low. Next time at 67. Then from this September 9th, 1700 timestamp, really until September 11th, 8 a.m., it congested to resisting it, but it did so. And congesting meaning spending more times a little bit higher, meaning high 71s compared to high 70s, so a dollar higher in this case. It had a matching low to this low, and what we've seen is the range of resistance between the high up to where this line is. That it's even upgrading it now, showing from all these lows, the higher low from or starting low from August 29, 20 stamp, one low higher, the combination of these two as the second, and then we have a combination of several of these lows at 67 height change or 68 as the third higher low, and we have a higher low a couple times hit at around 70, and well, it seems to be showing a nice sign of a breakout, but it's also showing that failed breakdown situation. As it didn't quickly, it's just doing this now, and it didn't quickly do it, as in breaking down below and then re-entering back into previous congestion really fast. But either way, whether you call that a failed breakdown or as the setup is in play as it stands, if all you do is one leg lower, you come back and you're in this range, then the possibilities of having these significant gains can come into serious play. On the daily chart, we have the attempt in reverting the trend. As the markets go down, there was this, and not much of an attempt here in breaking it out above. I mean, all the best it could do was band flatten out, barely starting to rise in this move here. But on August the 5th, that day, the rally price action that got up to 107 ultimately, again, I'll use that word ultimately, but it failed because there was absolutely no coming close to it again anytime soon. It hasn't since, and it has resisted it from there with a big move lower. So this is the next attempt, and we can see in here it flattened it out nicely about a week ago. It's been holding amongst the 71 for quite some time, and then yesterday and today's session having a nice break. And it doesn't mean much, but it means a lot in the sense that we're now at levels not seen from August 26 and all this. More importantly, we're showing support at this key Fibonacci, piercing below it, and that's what they normally do in these markets, as we can see. Okay, we got the low and the high, and it comes right down to this fib point, has a little bit move below. It's more likely you're going to have that little bit move below at around 63 than for it to bottom for, say, for example, this number here, because that would have been a pierce above if that would have been in that situation. So I find those things very, very interesting. Now, as far as where we go as the next level of resistance on our way to previous high, I'll be looking at the 76.4% level. And that level comes in at the $93.58 handle. And as now we switch this over to Bitcoin, we see it on the 3-day chart. All price action has done is come up to the 18 average of highs. But all is the first time it's done it during this downtrend, as the price action left above it at the start of the summer on June 21st when Bitcoin had that good dominant breakout. And now, if as long as it can hold where we came from in the 66 handle, 67, then that would be enough to flatten out the 18 average of lows. As long as it can spend enough time around 72 to 74, 76 handle, that'll be enough to flatten out the 18 average of highs. Having a significant break above it, really getting close to 80 and above, is an attempt to establish resistance and make a statement that there will be a reversal. Anyway, and in that statement, I mean that means okay, we can go much higher. We're talking about noticeable high, a very good lower high, which is around 12, matching high area in here, and then higher highs possibilities. And higher highs, of course, I guess you can't see it on here. There's not much more higher. It's been to the 30 or so handle in the past. I'm not going to show anything longer on this particular video. I have in the past, I will in the future. Okay, so that's what the statement is. And when the statement's made, then you usually see a situation because price comes up here. Generally, two things are going to happen, and Litecoin might be suspectable, and cryptos in general for the second one more often. But more times than not, what you're going to have happen is you're going to have this thing consolidate further within the 18, which means this 18 average is going to eventually work within it through price after we get higher, which means it'll slowly start to rise, or it'll come back to it, establish resistance, and good setups oftentimes will appear there. Furthermore, bear markets often take time to heal, and that's exactly why you get these moves. The first time you see it flatten, first time you see it break out, it's very hard to trust that it's ready for a breakout now and that it's ready to at least match previous lows or maybe make another small leg lower. But when these bear markets get so furious, there can be rallies that just shoot up really fast. And the second situation is, and this is with any market, you break above the 18 highs like this, is you have very little to no resistance or pullbacks, and it just does something like this. The next thing you know, you're looking at last 24 hours plus 26%, last 7 days plus 82 or plus 145%. And you see a lot of sick situations that can occur when spots like that happen. Now, one of the things I noticed when I looked at the my ticker symbols, and right in here, 2037 for QDM. And for most people, or some people, that shouldn't mean much at all. I mean, okay, whatever. What do you mean by that? Well, it used to be three figures, and that's because there was 7 decimals on it, and now they added an eighth because the market was 202, 203, 204, and every single time um, there was one differential in price. That was about a 0.5%. But even it was even bigger with Sky, and this coin has been getting its ass kicked. This was 6 figures. This was like 48 and 49. But that's because back then, this is 192,000. Well, that was 19,000, or 1900 rather, because they had 6 decimals on it, and now they've added more. But that works out better for trading because now you'll have the bid and ask prices. When you have a 48, 49, that means each interval of price is like a 2% move. And that makes me wonder with other coins that are, well, they're really cheap, and Doji is the one I'm talking about. It's only been on Binance since the start early in July, or the start of July, but it's 24 Satoshi, 23 now. Look at that! Look at that drop. It dropped 1 point on 24. That's about a 4% move. But there's really nothing else you can do other than trade this on a different market like an Ethereum or a US dollar market. Or you'd almost have to put extra decimals in. There's strategic ways of playing these markets when you have the small Satoshi bid orders. The buy orders for the amount of Bitcoin it takes to break the 23, 24 handle can oftentimes be very difficult and be very large in numbers. But there's strategies. I'm not going to go through them. And yeah. Anyway, next chart, and that is Ripple, which on the daily chart, yeah, getting its ass kicked like everything else. But as it plays now, we've had this level of resistance. The lower end of it is roughly around here. And I say the lower because we got this resistance from August 22nd and this resistance from August 25th. Piercing above here, and then, well, you got bigger resistance closer to here. Or even, if you want to get technical, 28.20. The price has had this level of support really congest and resist amongst such for quite some time. As this leg lower managed to do all this kind of stuff, and getting up to the 18 average of highs, didn't go any further higher, but this was technically the higher low. And after 2 days of consolidating this, okay, gain back to the highs, well, just like I stated before in the last one, that significant break, there's your statement. The statement has been made by Ripple that it wants to revert this trend. The last time it made this statement was right here. It didn't do so good. How about previous times making that statement? Right in here, it made the statement. Didn't do so good. And if we go back further, statements made here. Now, there's a big difference making it here because this is happening in a downtrend as the 18 average is declining. Same thing here. Major downtrend in this case. And when you look at this, it's like, oh my goodness, the fury's just stopping. You're still far away from these areas up here. So to say that this was a great, oh my goodness, this is an amazing attempt, not really. And now in this case, it was looking better because it was taking the element of time. So this was a much more probable attempt. And there's not much anything for what it's worth. This is about just as probable right now as this, other than the fact element of time history. Because if you're flipping dice or you're reshuffling decks of cards, then price, memory, mathematical odds is all the same. But as I've stated before, these bear markets can oftentimes take time to heal. That after each more of these similar situations, after each one, have a better chance than they did before or something. Anyway, as far as other previous attempts, well, bear market. I mean, these are just breaking 18s in an upward trend. But we can see what happened in 2018. When these things go off, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And that's why when I stated before, oh, what are some of the things that can happen? Well, most of the time it's going to come back down in here and consolidate. But that this wasn't one of those times. So you're looking, you see it back in here. You're like, okay, I want to see a good setup here because I think this Ripple baby can go. I just need that setup. And you get this, oh, there's your statement. There's that statement. It's telling me this thing is ready to go. Now, the last times we had these statements, it was this. It didn't do it. Then we had this back in here. Not so much. This was a good little, but this failed as well. Of course, you were waiting for a break above this resistance. It never happened. It came back down here. So you wanted to come back down here, then break. So you never got long. You never went long. And here, same thing, and it just went down there. Now you're waiting for a break above here. So you were saying to everybody back in August, in the end of August of 2018, okay, Ripple getting above 57 change, I'm going long. And now you're like, okay, I want to see this pull back somewhere in the 4500 and then break this level. And of course, when this one happens, of course, yeah, that's one of those moves where they can just go up extremely fast. And that's what these cryptos are so capable of. So when I say, yeah, it's another day, it's another 9,815 Satoshi, and I'm making a few of them. Oh, when days like this happens, you make a lot more. And as we transition on to Bitcoin Cash, and it's since its decline, it had this attempt here. And like I stated, a lot of times these things can take time to heal. Well, this is time. Having a retest of this level, retest of this support. It hasn't technically even come close to having a test of this level. I mean, yeah, this is close to having a test, but it never did come down here. And it most certainly hasn't even come close to coming up to here. But that's now what the target level would be if we could break out of this range in here. You have a little bit of consolidation up here, but I like how this is leaving the 18 average. And to me, just quickly, yeah, this seems to be the next target. And if it breaks above here, you're talking about filling empty space in here. If it doesn't, you're talking about coming back to here where you came from. And theta on the daily term time frame doesn't show anything like a breakout, which to me this is good. I like this because as I stated, it's another day. It's another 9,815 Satoshi, and with Litecoin going up and other coins like Qtum, I think I sold Ripple. Of course, I just shown these are coins I sold this morning. Actually, Theta, Litecoin I sold for other coins this morning. I sold it for Theta yesterday. But even still. And that is because this is really not doing much at all. It's just really hanging in there. A little bit of volatile move in here. But as far as ratios are concerned for me, the Theta Litecoin ratio, it doesn't need to go much further before I'll make another trade. Maybe even 730, 740. It was in the around 660, which is between 660-ish or so. I made the trade yesterday, or 667, 668, whatever. And it also means, make a few calls. Oh, by the way, remember, and this is with other people. Yeah, yeah, you wanted to get into cryptos, and we talked about the Theta and Litecoin, and yeah, it went under 600. And what did you do? You sold more and more. This is like the third, fourth time in a row, it seemed. You were selling Theta and buying Litecoin, and now you didn't have anywhere near as many Theta down here than you had way back here when you were doing this stuff, when it was at 1,000 and 1,100. But your Litecoin balance, woohoo, wow, what nice increase. Well, now take some of that Litecoin, or really, but 90% was 90% maybe 94. It's up to you. Maybe 100%, 85%, 88, 96% of the Litecoin that you received. Send it, buy some Theta, send the Theta back to your wallet. Your Theta number that you receive will be higher than what you spent the last time, but back when it was about 580. Is one of the coins that I ended up buying today was Atom, and this is the first time in which I have bought an Atom after a whole bunch of trades in a row with this ratio, as you can see, going from about 34 all the way down to 20. But it got above. It got wow, it's went down decently in the last little bit. Atom must be doing good. I'm going to look at that next because heck, I got near 20. What did I get? Let me check. I got 2302. I got 23 even. I got this top. If this thing gets down to like say 2069, that's probably where I'd want to flip it. Atoms definitely go, or Cosmos is what Atom stands for. But on the 15-minute term time frame, as this thing was breaking out, 8:45, that's when I ended up selling Litecoin and buying this. Let's take a look at Atom. And of course, it shoots right up to that line that I put in. But this is a second hit line. And if it breaks this, then we'll probably have a move to the next one. But as we can see on the 15-minute here, the price action was like around 31, and it's going up. So if I could do a double flip today, hey, that would be sweet. I could take the amount of Atom that I bought. I could do just as I state before, take 90%, 94% of it. So I'll just take a small few bits of it. It's like having somebody throw a whole bunch of coins, and I'm just going to take a few of them. Like they threw like a couple hundred, and I'm going to take a little more than a dozen of them, and then do the same thing with another bunch of coins, pretty much around that area, or something in that area. Yeah. Okay, so good move, good move. What we see on the daily, well, as I mentioned, this is a multiple head. I'm gonna have to see it better, I think, on the three, as and we can see before you come up to this resistance, pull back, and then you come up, attempt to to break above, you support it. You're really staying within that area. So at first you support it, then you resist it. So really during the entire period you congested it. And now we resist it here for a decent amount of time. Come back down. Where do we go to? Where we came from. And what do we do in this period on the 3 hour? Well, obviously having a significant move up to this 18 average of highs into this congestion area that it is in, meaning it's gotten above the support at 32.83. It's yet to rise to the resistance at 34.48. And well, it's in that general area, and like I stated, the next line it comes in at 4,716. These are not Fibonacci lines. These are just merely where the lows were. As you can see, this low matches up in here with this low, this one, and then this one again, and this one. So of uh, the opening lows, the first, the second, the third, and no line here, but there's been four legs lower. This market has been out on Binance since the end of April, so it's a relatively new one. And when these things go, as I shown with that Bitcoin Cash move, this thing has potential for potential for big moves, just like that. But I look at words like probability odds. What's the chances of something to occur? Well, something like, say you got a random deck of cards. What's the chances the four of spades is the first card that randomly comes up? Well, there's 52 cards, so 51 losses to one win. So I've heard 51 to 1 and Canadian odds 52 to 1. But what's the chances that you have like a move of at least 30% in the next 30 hours? I'm not going to go over what those odds are, but most certainly at this time, it's a lot higher than it's ever been throughout any of this time from June 21st up until like really into the start of September, because you're in this downtrend like this. They can happen then, but you're more likely to have them happen when you have a setup as we're seeing right now within this market. And as shown in here, because we've had this resistance of the previous key level hit and have doing what it's doing, within this, there's a breakout on this hourly time frame at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 10:23 a.m. as I'm doing this now, so there's, and you can see the time right in here. So it's been holding this area for about 20 minutes, and anything on the 4, well, when these things go really nicely, it was 9:20 when this thing took off. And let's conclude this with Ethereum against Bitcoin, and at close to 0.02. And after this 18 average in here, we can see it got above it on September the 14th. Pausing it for one day. Yesterday, phenomenally nice, but only good. But phenomenally nice via that of the setup, we'll state. 4.86% moving so for today. So far today, it's riding at 2.91%. And over the last 3 days, which I think includes yesterday and today, right now we are. Yes, it does. We're up 7.9% since yesterday, or over the last 2 days. And now a statement, and this is a real good statement. Now we've already at stage 2, and I talk about the Three Little Bears as far as the story that I remember as much reading and being read to as a child, and everything, and watching the video TVs and videos. It was on so many platforms as well, but that's whatever. Neither here nor there. But everything has to be just right. So in trying to find the setup, what I would like to see is I would like to see something like a resistance area that's at a right spot. I don't want it to go up to here because that would just be too small. And if I'm looking for a setup, then as I was showing with Ripple, when it just goes up too much with that, then it's just there's no play. You're just going to miss out on it. But you want to see something like, okay, let's do something like this, and then when this is happening, that's what I'm looking for, especially if I could find resistance at the right spot because it would coincide in here. All of those sort of ideas. But it's not getting too far before you can say, okay, now it's starting to become a big move. Again, not that uncommonality of a situation to occur in cryptocurrency price movements. And then when you get to these points of 212, 213, 216, you have to say to yourself, are we really starting to see another one of these Ripple deals here? Because when Ethereum went off, and I can't show it on this time on this Binance one, but I can show it on Bittrex or Poloniex. When this thing went off, and I got lines on this one, but we'll just here. In 2017, that was one of those situations. As we go back in here, and that's huge moves, as we can see in the past. And in 2018, this isn't the one I'm talking about, but this is another one of them. This is a situation where, oh, this was looking so bullish in here, guys. And this is where the bottom was. And the move gets above. It was fast. We've seen it go from 25 handle to over 100, or better than a 4x move. Time allocated from December the 7th to that of February the 1st. Close to, but not quite 2 months. But the move again I'm talking about was at the start of 2017. And it was giving back all of its gains because this high was still a lower high to this one. We still have, this was just a big move. And from this high, where did it come from? Because the high on this move was June the 11th, coming close to the we'll call it 1800 handle. And in here it was the 700 and or the 7 70. It worked out to better than 10x move. But when these things have these huge moves, they work out. Now for this situation though, you can see the move is big, but this is ideally what you're hoping for if you're talking about trying to have these things develop. Because again, all of these wicked downtrends, as I've been stating within this year, a lot of what we've been seeing over the past year and really the last 2 years has been 2016 esque like, and in some markets 2015 esque like, one of them being Litecoin. But so here you have a situation where, okay, this is the whole not too big, not too small. Well, this is starting to get too big, but it at least stopped. So yeah, maybe a little too big, but okay, fine enough. But what we had happen here was this settling down. We had some areas in this spot where price action supported this area down in here, established resistance. You can see one of the better areas was, well, there was multiple areas even up to this high in here, but it was doing all this type of stuff. And now you're getting the setups. Okay, this thing is looking good. Now you're looking to possibly go long as it's breaking. It's pulling back. Maybe your orders are starting to fill. As you can see, if they did, now are you going to stop out? Obviously, if you got stopped out, oh, you'd be frustrated here. But and then if you were just looking for more spots, you missed this. You're like, okay, or maybe you're just tuning into the market now. You're like, okay, what setups do I see? Oh, this thing has got a. This thing looks like it might go if and get above. Well, this time you'd be putting the line up here. If it gets above this level of resistance, and you'd be seeing it here. Ooh, look at the setup. This looks really nice. And then you'd situations getting in your entry positions, accumulation. And then when it goes up like this, well, distribution, where this green line is right here at the 20, that's that could be your start of distribution. And you could be thinking, oh, 20 is up a lot, and well, it went up higher than that. But however you went on this, maybe for me, I was selling out of this stuff at the 38, 39 handle. But another reason I'm showing this is these things can have monstrous moves just like that. And as I've been stating just recently as well, Binance re-allowing United States customers to trade within these markets is going to do phenomenal, I think, as well, or it brings up probability odds for phenomenal things like this. Thank you for tuning in to today's video, and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.